Madam.
Good morning once again, our listeners out there. We are happy to meet you this morning again on time with quality assurance. And I'm happy that you always make time to listen to us. Henete for Radio Windy Bay, Yadamasi Bebre, the Imbribia, Munyam Berza Mahen, there Yanyamoka, in summer, Oboboa, Yene Yedi, na Henum Kodo, UEW, na Winebenina. Today we are going to talk about accessibility and inclusion services for students with disability. UEW upholds inclusion and equity. And so there is a need for us to look at what would be very, very, very helpful to everyone, especially our students with disability. And today I'm happy to have Dr. Cyril Mauli Honumensa, the Coordinator Resource Center for Students with Special Needs. You are welcome, Doc.
Thank you very much, Prof.
We are happy to have you this morning and then to share with us accessibility and inclusion services for students with disability. Oya hu hia bebre de yabotu no so ya aboa hene nuanom a wono ho aka na wontum won komba de wokoba de henara na so wohia mboa. Nti that is what we are going to look at. Doc, what do you have to share with us? The UEW, as a university, upholds quality. And we know that it is important that we take care of everyone, including the marginalized, the disability, and every person who would want to school in UEW. It is very important. How do we engage our students with disability?
Thank you very much, Prof. And a good morning to all your viewers and your listeners. And thank you very much for this opportunity to share with us what UW has been doing and what we can do to improve the lives of students with special needs and disabilities. Okay, so by way of context, I'll start by saying that UW has the largest population of students with disability in any tertiary institution in West Africa.
That's great.
As at today. So as at yesterday, our statistics showed that the students who have registered with the Resource Center for Students with Special Needs is 264. And out of the 264, we have 162 of them who have visual impairment. They could be blind or low vision. Then we have 81 of them who are deaf or hard of hearing. We have 19 with physical disabilities, and we have 2 students living with albinism. Some of them have comorbid conditions, so it means they have 2 conditions at the same time. So that makes us the university or the tertiary institution with the largest number of students with special needs, various categories, all housed in one educational institution and being supported. Then secondly, when
you mentioned physical disability, what actually do we mean? Because you gave the categories: visually impaired, the deaf, physically disability, and so which one is a physically disability?
Yes, so physical disabilities has to do with the category of students who have mobility problems, those who have coordination problems, muscle, they are all part of physical disabilities. So we have some students with cerebral palsy, then we have others who use the wheelchair, others would use the crutches, others would have maybe limb deficiencies at one side or both sides. And this category, when you put them together, they fall under physical disabilities. Under hearing impairment, we have those who are deaf. The deaf typically are the ones who use the sign language in communicating, and they would not be able to understand and process spoken language unless it is converted to manual system. But the hard of hearing students are those who would need additional support to perceive speech.
Oh, okay.
So typically they would use an amplification device like a hearing aid, or when you use a PA system, for instance, in the class, then they would be able to hear you without stress.
Okay.
Or if you shout a bit when you are close to them and you are talking, they can be able to hear. They are hard of hearing. Then we've got students with visual impairment, and in that category as well, we've got those who are blind.
Okay.
And they would have, or they would struggle to perceive light. So they would use the braille in writing their exams, reading the braille with their fingers. So the braille is just dots, a system of dots that the blind students are trained to use their fingers. They run their fingers over the dots and they are able to read and communicate with the dots.
Wonderful.
Then we have those who have low vision. They can see with some extra support. So they will typically use large print or a magnifier to read.
Okay.
Yes. And these are the categories. Then the last category was the students who are living with albinism. And they have the light skinned with the blonde hair, and they also have their unique needs. Most of them come with visual impairment, so they have seeing difficulties.
Okay.
They are unable to tolerate excessive light. So during the daytime in the classroom, if the lighting is very bright, they struggle as well to. Yes, so we offer support to all these category of students. Then I think last semester we've had some students who struggle to read. Yes.
So which category do we put this category of people?
Reading, that will be under learning disabilities.
Learning disability.
Yes, they are very good when you are assessing them. Even in an exam, if you ask them to say whatever they want to say, they would say it. But if you ask them to read it or write it, then they get jittery.
Wow.
So we attended to them at the resource room for last semester, and their results were pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yes, and there is one too who has a social phobia. So once she gets into the exam hall and she sees a lot of people around, then she's basically going off, and would have to support such a student as well. So these are the categories that we have.
Good.
And we provide support for.
This is very amazing. I'm happy to know myself these categories that we have. Interestingly, so how do these categories of students, I think you were just explaining some of the help you gave, how do they assess education in UEW?
Okay, thank you very much. So it starts from the admission process.
Okay.
So for instance, UEW has a concession policy for admission when it comes to students with disabilities. For instance, if a student is blind and they apply to UEW, in considering their results, we do not consider mathematics. Yes, because for mathematics, the blind students struggle with all the figures and the operation signs and all these long division. They are not in braille. Yes, so even if they were answering the questions, it would be difficult for them to. Yes, so that consideration is given. So for the core subjects, the results for mathematics is not taken into account before they are admitted. Then for the deaf students as well, there is a concession on English language. So we use the other core subjects for admission, but they must pass their electives.
Okay.
Yes. Then they have access to take the matured exams. For instance, on Saturday there will be matured exams. They come ahead of time. UW helps them secure accommodation on campus even for their entrance exam. Yes. So we have people traveling from far. They come maybe a day before, and the school is able to facilitate for them. It's not for free, they would pay anyway, but at least we make that arrangement so that they stay on campus for their own safety and security. Then as soon as they are admitted, they register at the resource center for students with special needs. We have a staff strength of 9. We have 6 sign language interpreters, We have 2 braillists, and we have an ICT instructor who is blind.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's great.
So the ICT instructor teaches the students who are blind the ICT and how to use the different softwares on their phones, on their laptops, so that they can navigate the system. Then when it comes to instruction, we offer support to the lecturers. So for instance, the lecture notes, if you bring them to the resource center, we would convert them into Braille. We call them accessible formats. So we'll convert into accessible formats for the students to access it. There is what we call the Marrakesh Treaty, which Ghana is signed on to, which gives permission for every copyrighted textbook to be converted into Braille format for a student who is blind for free.
So do we have these textbooks available to them?
Yes. So if they request, so if they are taking a course and then we have access to that textbook,
okay,
then we could convert them into Braille format. But even so now, because of the smartphones and everything, they have screen readers that are able to read PDFs.
Oh, okay.
So over the years, we've not really brailled a lot of textbooks. Previously, we used to do that a lot. Then again, we have the sign language interpreters that go to class whenever there is a deaf student in the class. So at least we have 2 in every class, and whilst the lecturer is teaching, the sign language interpreter is converting the spoken language into manual language for the deaf to access.
Okay.
And if they want to ask a question, they would also sign. The interpreter would also convert to spoken language, so they facilitate the communication over there. Outside of the classroom, university programs, sometimes in their hostels and all these, the resource persons are there to support. Then lastly, even for the blind students, there is what we call orientation and mobility services.
Okay.
So we teach them how to move around with their mobility cane, how to identify gutters, when they are walking by the road, where's the pavement, how to cross the road, all these things, how to find their location, their halls, their lecture rooms. We do all these for the students. So this is part of the larger thing that UEW does for all students with special needs.
Okay, so in case it's the students normally, if I understand, the student normally comes to the resource center for registration.
Yes.
So you get to know those who are supposed to be assisted.
Yes.
The university is very large, and we have different programs. And if a student happen not to be in special education and happens to be in the main other programs, how do you identify them, and then the support system that you give to them, in assuming somebody is doing French and this person has a reading disability, learning disability, or mobility disability?
Yeah.
How do you identify? Should a person come to the special education for help, or how do we navigate through these with the students who have such problems with other departments other than special education?
Thank you very much. So the resource center actually is not for special education.
Okay.
It's the resource center for students with special needs. So we serve all students across different departments. So what we do is, during orientation, there is a slot for the coordinator for the resource center for students with special needs.
Okay.
So as soon as the students are admitted, in the first week when they have the intensive orientation, we have a slot, and then we speak to them and we introduce the resource center to them. So every student, irrespective of the department, would register, and wherever the student is, we offer support for the students. So the resource center office is at the North Campus, but every day there are some deaf students in ICT. There are some of them in foreign languages. So the interpreters would move from North Campus to South Campus, offer the support. Some of the lectures are held at Central Campus. We are able to see to all these students. But when it comes to examinations, they all have to report to the resource center. That is where they take their exams.
Oh, okay.
So there is a space just this semester. ProVC has created an additional space for us.
Good.
For examination. Yes, so because the number keeps increasing, so now we have an extra space that we use for exams this coming Monday. So all the students would report to the resource center, and then they'll take the examination there. We'll braille or transcribe the braille, and then have the lecturers or the exam officers come and pick them, and then they assess them, and they also have their grades. So it is not a center for special education department, but it is a center for all students in the university to access.
Okay, so you get the lecturers bringing their exam questions to the resource center.
Yes. So when we get to the challenges, I'll possibly highlight that there are some responsibilities that everybody has towards accessibility and inclusion.
Okay.
For instance, the things we do in UEW are not just out of the blue. They are backed by international laws and policies. For instance, when we look at the highest of them, which we call the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which was ratified by Ghana in 2012, the Article 24 talks about inclusive education. Article 9 talks about accessibility. We have the Sustainable Development Goals. Goal 4 is also on inclusive quality education. Goal 10 is on reducing inequalities. Locally, we have the Persons with Disabilities Act. We have the Education Strategic Plan 2018 to 2030, which is also talking about inclusion.
Yes.
Then our own UEW Corporate Strategic Plan, which was launched just last week.
Yes.
If we look at the 3.5 Team 3, it talks about access, equity, and inclusion. And even by then, the university is saying that we should be passionate about building an inclusive culture that values diversity, promotes equity, and provides opportunities for all individuals to succeed. And we should believe that the success should be within the reach of everyone, regardless of their background, ability, and circumstances. Which means that as students, as staff, lecturers, administrators, we have to consciously ensure that the students with disabilities have a very good experience.
Yes.
So when it comes to instruction, the lecturers' responsibilities are there. When it comes to assessment, the lecturers' responsibilities are there. The students also have their roles, they have their responsibilities and their expectations. And I believe as we go along, we'll be able to touch of some of these before we close.
Yeah.
But yes, we all have roles that we have to play in order to make accessibility and inclusion get to the level that we all aspire for it to be.
Yeah. So once that was the next question I'd wanted. So once you've mentioned, I would want you to elaborate the role of the lecturers, the role of the students, so that we know how we can collaborate for quality delivery in UEW for towards excellence.
Thank you very much, Prof. Okay, so before I start, I think I'll start with, there are two concepts in our theme for today, which we have to have a fair idea of. When we understand this, then we will understand the roles that we have to play.
Okay.
So we have accessibility and we have inclusion. So when we talk about accessibility, we are looking at removing barriers, and the barriers could be physical barriers. It could be maybe buildings, the design of a building that physically does not permit someone to have access. For instance, if some of the offices, I'll not mention any office, but some of the story buildings have these steep staircases.
Yes.
So for young people like us, we are able to climb easily.
Yes.
But if you look at our elderly folk, even when they climb, they have problems with their knees. So it means that even though they don't have disabilities, but even old age, as a result of old age, these buildings are not becoming accessible to them.
Yes.
So when we think accessibility, it does not only benefit students who have disabilities, but it benefits the general populace.
Good.
So physical accessibility is there. Then we've got the digital. Now we have LMS, we have radio lectures, and then it's streamed live on Facebook. For instance, this morning we are having this program. Actually, there's supposed to be an interpreter over here because a deaf person might be watching on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
yes. So we are going to recommend interpreter for Radio Windy Bay for some of their programs.
Exactly.
Very important. So those who are also watching can understand what is going on here.
Yes. So that forms a component of digital accessibility.
Okay.
Then in lieu of that, there could be captions. So when we do our slides, sometimes we record voice notes and then send to students' class pages as instructions, and we forget that there are deaf students in the class. These are very basic that you might not think about.
Exactly.
Or you share your slide and then you send it to the class page, but it doesn't have any voice over. But there's a blind student in that class who will not have access. So they will now have to find someone to or ask what did they put on the page. Then someone has to explain to them. That is digital. We have the LMS. We teach on Moodle. Then we just go upload the audio over there and then put the PDF or the PowerPoint. We just upload and leave it there and give a timed assessment. All of these are barriers when it comes to accessibility. Then we've got institutional barriers as well. There is what we call the institutional bystander effect. What it means is that there are very beautiful policies, there are laws, but everybody is expecting someone to do something. So at the end of the day, nothing is done. And people don't really know what they are supposed to do. So there could be a lecturer who really wants to help, but does not know how he should help. That would be an institutional barrier. So that would take care of the training, the staff development, and all of those which make people understand these concepts that we are talking about. Then, of course, we have the educational barriers. How do you ensure educational accessibility? So, like I said, in the design of our course materials, have we considered students with special needs? In the delivery, sometimes the lecture is at the 3rd floor of social science building, and there is someone who is using a wheelchair or he uses crutches, and we have to carry the person from the ground floor to the 3rd floor. Are we willing to swap so that some of the classes, if we see some of these students in our class, are we willing to swap so that we have the classes at the ground floor, or we insist the lecture hall is close to my office, so I'm not changing it? These are some of the things that we do, and then they inhibit accessibility. Then we've got the second term, which is inclusion. Inclusion has to do with participation, belonging, and having equal opportunities as everyone. So, for instance, a student who is blind, people argue why we should give them extra time during exams. You and I will just pick our pens and start writing. But for someone who is brailling, they will now have to pick their stylus, put the paper in the braille frame, and then be typing a lot of dots before that is there.
Really?
Then they type a lot of dots before it becomes statement. Then after that, they have to use their fingers to read it. We will not be writing at the same speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if we are talking about equal opportunities, then they should have adequate time to be able to demonstrate the knowledge and the skill they have. But if we restrict them to a particular time set and say everybody should finish within 20 minutes, maybe they would have used about 15 minutes to braille. So their inability to do well in the assessment is not because they are not smart, but it's because of the other conditions which is preventing them from being very fast to answer their questions, and would not have given them an opportunity to demonstrate their skill. So inclusion is about participation, belonging, and equal opportunities. And it's not like a checklist. They are interdependent. They are interdependent. So both of them are essential for the success of the students. Then when we look at accessibility, some of the components, like I've mentioned, are physical environment modification, like the ramps, so that a wheelchair user can climb onto the classroom.
So you can now recommend accessibility issues. These are, I see them to be challenging.
Yes.
Issues that are that could hinder accessibility to education. What recommendations can you give to physical barriers, digital barriers, institutional barriers, and educational barriers? I think these are very key to the people with special needs, and I think if we are able to address these challenges, we could help a lot in improving their education here in UEW.
Thank you very much, Prof. So in terms of the physical environment modification, with the current buildings to a large extent have factored some modifications in there. So for instance, the new block which has the School of Business has an elevator, but it's still not functioning. And if you consider the size and the height of the staircase, you'd realize they are relatively broader and shorter than the previous story buildings, like maybe the registrar's block. You find those stairs are quite steep and longer or taller than the ones you find in FES or the new block.
Okay.
So that is one consideration.
Okay.
So that you wouldn't have to lift your legs so high before you're able to climb the stairs. Then, so we have the ramps. The ramps are the ones that we climb in to get into a space.
Okay.
Then we have the rails. The rails are the metals or the wooden supports which are along the staircases. Well, they are not for fun. They are there so that someone with physical disabilities could lean on them and climb the stairs.
Okay.
Or they help the blind students to navigate their way. So they would use their mobility cane to hit the rails, and they know, okay, so I'm getting close to the end of the staircase. Then they're able to stay in lane and they don't fall off. So the ramps are there, the elevators. One of the things which we easily forget is our washrooms. So we are supposed to have accessible toilets. Some of the WC bowls are quite high, and even if they are not high, they are just there in isolation. Assuming there was a wheelchair user who wants to use the place, how would they transfer from their seat onto the toilet? They wouldn't be. They would need support to hold something. So we have accessible toilets or accessible washrooms that we should be thinking about when it comes to modifications. We have some signage on campus. So you have signage which is giving directions to this place, but there are also tactile signages where a blind student can come and rub their hands over it, and they will know that, okay, this is the direction to this office, and they will not have to ask another person for support. We call them tactile signages.
Do we have these? I haven't seen one before.
No, we don't have.
So we need to make sure we have those
tactile
signages.
Yes, we could start with maybe lecturers' offices, or the administrator's office, or the head of department's office, or major, so that when they come, they'll just have to, once they read the braille, they will know this is where I am going to.
This is for the blind.
This is for the blind.
Okay.
Then we reserve seating and accessible furniture. So what we usually do is, in our large classes, when we go, we reserve the front row for the students with special needs, because the deaf students would have to see the interpreter. The blind students will also have to be close to the lecturer to hear what he's saying. And some of them come with voice recorders so that they can play it back and then listen to the lecture, because they cannot be making notes whilst lecture is going on. So they come with voice recorders.
Yeah, let me chip in this. We talk about ethical issues, and how many of us are aware that these special needs people bring in record, assuming, if I'm not aware, that he is recording, or I see the person recording, and then for ethical reasons the lecturer says that you are not supposed to record this. How much knowledge are lecturers aware of these, that we need to prompt that these are people, because we need to know them.
Exactly.
and then we can assess them on that tangent.
All right. So for the few ones who we know, we're able to inform them ahead of time that, so some of them are friends, so casually we tell them, Charlie, this guy is in your class also, you'll be coming with a recorder.
Okay.
Permit him to record. And for instance, especially the general education courses, they are used to teaching students with special needs. So I think they've adapted quickly.
Good.
So they understand a lot of these things that we talk about. And possibly for those who have been in UEW for some time, because they have seen the students over and over, they are adapting. But again, that's where the institutional barrier comes in. We need to do a lot of training, sensitization. So the target is that from next semester, on faculty basis, the resource center would move. Maybe when there's a faculty meeting, we will get some time with them and then speak to them about the unique needs of the students.
Very important.
Yes, and then how to support them. Because to be honest, sometimes the senior members are not very cooperating when it comes to the resource staff that support the students, and it's because they don't understand.
They are not aware.
They are not,
I am believing that, not that they are not cooperating, but they need to understand. And then the training aspect is very important, because if we really have the largest number, and we are supposed to make sure that our students have access to quality education. And then as we need to fulfill policy delivery in terms of inclusion, then it means that we need to constantly sensitize the populace, the lecturers, the academic, even all of us.
Exactly.
Because administrators have their part to play, HODs, academics, they all have their role to play. So the training, I recommend strongly the training aspect, where we need to constantly conscientize, sensitize, and train many of us to understand the needs of these students that we have, so that we can collaborate well for quality delivery. Yeah, it's important that we do that. Then what about I think the training aspects will include the educational barrier.
Yes, it would cover that to some extent. Yeah, so there is also the component of academic support.
Okay.
I've mentioned the lecture notes in Braille, then large print and electronic formats, then sign language interpreters. Then we can be looking at assistive technologies such as screen readers, magnifiers, and then now, like I said, because of the smartphone, some of the phones are able to convert live voice to text. So the students can be permitted to use their phones. When the lecturer is teaching, it would be converting what the lecturer is saying into text format.
Good.
Then after that, we take it at the resource room, we edit it, because the softwares are not 100% accurate. So sometimes the languages change and all that. So we take it, we edit it, then we give it back to the lecturer to read through, for him to confirm that that is actually what they said, and that becomes the lecture notes for the deaf students in the class. So we could be exploring something like that. And then the academic support, the adaptations and accommodations during examinations. So for instance, the Braille embosser does not emboss images, it does not emboss tables and watermarks. So if you brought an exam, if there was a blind student writing an exam and you bring it to the resource room, they will not be able to read the table, because the machine will not be able to emboss a table.
So cases like this, especially maybe if there is a drawing, the person is reading science, and there is a flower that they need to label.
Yes.
In this case, what happens?
So we call them adaptations.
Okay.
So the essence is that we want to measure a particular skill or a particular knowledge. So you should be able to set another question which is measuring the same level of knowledge or the same skill without using the same question you have given someone who is sighted. And that blind student should be able to demonstrate that they understand what you are asking them. That is the intent of the assessment.
Okay.
So we have what we call parallel questions. What the parallel questions does is that for questions which are not accessible for the students with special need, there should be another corresponding question which is measuring the same skill.
Okay.
So a similar question in another format, but it is measuring the same skill that the sighted student is measuring.
Okay.
So you have not changed your question. You have just adapted it to suit
the special needs people.
Yes, and at the end of the day, you'll be measuring the same skills. You mark, you assess, and then your assessment is valid because you are looking at different ways of measuring. And it's called, we call it the universal design for learning. So it gives opportunity for multiple means of representing. So when you are teaching one concept, you can demonstrate it in different ways. So that depending on the learning style of the person, they would be able to understand what you are talking about.
Yeah.
So you can do visual, you can do audio, you can do a demonstration, you can model, so that whoever is confused in that class, by the time you are done, they would have understood what you want to do for them. In examination too, there is that opportunity for them to demonstrate using various methods, so that at the end of the day, we want to know whether the person has acquired that skill or not. Then
Good.
extra time too. So the students with special needs are entitled to half the time for the assessment in addition to the regular time. So we do that as well. Yep.
Good. And then how do you cater for the students with learning disability? I'm very interested in that because they can't read and you don't sign. They don't also braille. This is a very special category. How, in terms of examination, how do we assess such people?
Okay, so you can do an oral assessment. So yes.
Really?
Yes. So I tried it in one of my classes. So there was a blind student in my class, and I gave a quiz in the class. Just after before the lesson, I did a diagnostic quiz.
Okay.
And because I did not inform them, he didn't come with his braille frame and stylus. So what did I do? I asked him to pick WhatsApp. WhatsApp has a feature which records voice. So he opens to my WhatsApp on his phone, and he is in a corner. I'm standing by him. I read the questions to him, and then he reads or he says the answers, and it comes into my
WhatsApp.
Yes. After that, I took it, I assessed him, and I scored him. So there are very simple things that we can do. We have the sophisticated equipment and all those things, but there are also very little things that we can do as people to help the process whilst we wait for the sophisticated ones to happen.
So we are approaching examination, and then we realize that these categories are there. I would like to find out whether you have been able to identify all these people, made it available to the lecturers, and now they have prepared well for them. Before you answer, this is Time with Quality Assurance. Listeners out there, we are talking about accessibility and inclusion services for students with disability. We have the lines for calls, which is 050-392-3158. WhatsApp is 050-392-3158. You can also, this is being streamed live on Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. You can find us at www.uew.TV.gh. You can send your calls, you can send your messages, and then you can WhatsApp us as well. This is Time with Quality Assurance. We are talking about accessibility. Doctor, would want to know what are the preparations yet for these people as we are approaching examination?
Thank you very much, Prof. Okay, so today there will be an orientation for the sign language interpreters, and then all the resource support staff today concerning exams again.
Okay.
We use the mid-semester exams to do our dummy preparations. So during mid-semester, we were able to get into contact with a lot of exam officers and senior members. So we have that database. And like I said, some of the exam officers have been working with us for a very long time. Those from educational foundations, from African studies, they know how we work. So they've been offering support. Then, for instance, just yesterday, we took delivery of 10 computers from Ghana Gas. It was a donation.
Great. Wonderful.
Yes, and immediately we've set them up.
Good.
We had only 3 functioning. Now we added 10, so we have 13.
Good.
So those who who type would not have to use their own laptops again. At least we have 13 that we can use for the exam.
Great.
And praying that we'll get more, so that it serves, because there are 160 of them. So obviously 13
it's not sufficient.
It's not
but
sufficient.
At least
Then
you've gone far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then, as I mentioned, there is a dedicated room for exams. So we'll not struggle with moving up and down, searching for venues.
Okay.
The last time we had to use the offices because there were so many people.
Can you tell us where this time they are going to write?
Okay, so this time they'll be writing at FES 109.
109.
Yes.
FES
109.
Faculty of Educational Studies.
Yes, bro.
Formal Faculty of Educational Studies.
Yes, the ground floor.
109.
109.
Good.
So we have 2 rooms, 109 and 115, but there are still some chairs in 115. So once they are moved, then we'll have 2 rooms, 109, 115, purposely for exams.
Okay.
So that has been taken care of. Then the university has supplied us with enough braille sheets, which we would use for the exam.
Good.
Yes, and then our embosser is working. One printer is working. The others, hopefully, will fix it before Monday. So we've prepared. The interpreters have their tags, so they'll be going with proper identification.
Good.
So that the lecturers can identify them with the resource center. We've given our contacts out if they observe anything, or they want to make any inquiries. My contact is there. The email address for the resource center would also be shared, so that people can contact us and we'll attend to them promptly.
Is there any general contact apart from your own contact?
No, since we are not autonomous, we even though we serve the university, but we still work under the Department of Special Education. So
but you recommend the resource center should have
yes,
a contact.
Yes, we are praying that the resource center is upgraded. When we do that upgrade, then all these things would yes. But if we get a contact for the resource center, which is not
that should be
yes, because sometimes at night you get calls.
Yeah,
at
so
dawn and
I
people
believe
want to find
that the resource center should have a contact line.
Yes,
so that students and lecturers who would want to contact could have access to the center at
Prof.
any point in time.
That would be very ideal.
Yes,
that would be very ideal. So far, these are the preparations that we've had towards examinations.
Good. So let me ask this question: in terms of project work and internship, how have we prepared well? Because this is part of UEW's educational setup. Third year, they need to go for internship. When they come back, they had to write their project. Cases where we have students who have social phobia, they need to go to the classroom to teach. And then we also have all the categories here. How do you plan? Do they follow the structured patterns that we have, or they have different educational pattern?
Thank you, Prof. The beautiful thing is that if we are able to ensure accessibility and inclusion, it will shock you that the students will do exactly what everybody is doing.
Good.
So when it comes to project works, long essays, actually there is one deaf student who is a PhD candidate.
Great.
Yeah, he came for first degree here. He did his second degree, and he's on a PhD now. There are 3 on master's programs in special education.
Wonderful.
There is one in psychology or linguistics, I think. There's one in basic education. So all the students need is support. When they have the right support, they're able to do very well. And the gentleman I'm talking about, the one on the PhD, he's deaf, but he got a first class when he when it came for undergraduate studies.
Great.
We were the first university to educate someone who is deaf blind in the whole of West Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, so the issue is once the support is there, then the students would be able to succeed and they would have equal opportunities. So for internships, they go for internship just like any other student does. They do their pre-internship, they also write project work, and they submit just like all the other students. But we have, that's why I talked about the adaptations and the accommodations. Some of the things would have to change it a bit so that it helps them to succeed. So yes, they also do their internships, they go for attachments, they do their project works, they submit, and they all graduate with their peers.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Honu, for enlightening us on accessibility and inclusion services for students with disability. The line is open for calls, and then we also have the WhatsApp 5050-392-3158. 050-392-3158. You can put in a call, you can WhatsApp us for questions, for clarity. This is Time with Quality Assurance. UEW is ensuring accessibility and inclusion for all people, including people with special needs. And interestingly, I'm happy to know that we have a lot of categories of people with special needs, and we carry the largest of all among all public institutions. We are happy that we are encouraging everyone to have time to go through UEW website, comb through all that it is to get yourself educated. Thank you, Doctor, for giving us the opportunity and to lightening us on people with special needs. I'm happy to know that we have visually impaired, deaf impaired, physically disability, mobility, people with mobility and muscles, cerebral palsy, people who are even in wheelchairs, crutches, albinism, and then people with social phobia. All these people are here in UEW, and we encourage everyone to be part. Time with Quality Assurance is here with us. I believe that will come your way next month with another edition of Time with Quality Assurance. Thank you for coming. Thank you for educating us on people with special needs. And I believe that as an institution, we are going to go on extra mile to make sure that we ensure everyone is included in education and no one is left out. Thank you for listening.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
This is Radio Windy Bay. Windy Bay 98.3 FM.